All right, everyone, welcome. This is Coach Mo Faul, and I have a fantastic, fun, deep, intimate guest here with me, Milijana de Mori. How are you today?
I am very, very well, Mo, and very blessed and happy to talk with you today.
Awesome, awesome. So, Milijana is a performance and life coach, and she's also a powerlifting champion and a kickboxing champion. And I'll tell you a little bit more about her. Milijana and I got to know each other through my Kick Ass career course, and I am proud to say she is one Kick Ass alum. And Milijana, after you gained that next level of internal strength, I actually saw you transform some folks in the course, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. But let me do you the justice of an official introduction to folks who are going to be listening to this interview, okay? All right. So Milijana is an NLP, which stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming Practitioner, and a HNLP, which is Humanistic Neuro-Linguistic Psychology Master Practitioner. She's a personal trainer, powerlifting and Olympic weightlifting Croatian and Western Australian record holder. She's a former Croatian kickboxing champion, international business graduate, and presenter. She's a former radio host and broadcasting trainer. She's also finished her spiritual and medium healer course in Germany. And she is as strong and beautiful on the inside as she is on the outside. And Milijana, you have such a gracious presence about you, and I know that you are a kick-ass, strength, tough woman in the gym. But boy, your passion to help people and help people overcome things that are stopping them from being their awesome self is just a marvel, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. So, again, welcome formally to this interview that I hope will lift others and help them transform.
Oh, thank you so much, Mo, and thank you for this beautiful welcome and intro.
So, Milijana, I happen to know that you were a young girl when the former Yugoslavia was in war, and certainly probably everyone who lived in the country at the time had massive amounts of stress going on. Tell me a little bit about your upbringing and how that influenced your early years.
Okay, yeah. So I was about 6 years old when the war hit former Yugoslavia, and our house was bombed 2 times, and luckily we survived. It was very, very close. So we had to flee, and we fled to Germany. So since I was about 6, I was a war refugee with my family,
Yeah.
and obviously has brought a lot of fears and traumas since a young girl never feeling safe. Besides having the war trauma, I was also a fat kid, very chubby fat kid. So I was constantly bullied and ridiculed, and the boys that I had a big crush on just laughed in my face. So, and I was even teased by everyone in my family. So I never felt accepted or loved. So from the age of 12 till 25, I was bulimic. So I had an eating disorder that I was hiding really well, which basically later I found out, when you're bulimic or anorexic, it's the highest form of self-hatred and self-criticism. So I hated my body, and I was depressed and sad, and I had suicidal thoughts. And another thing that also was carrying for many, many years with me was just a huge fear of men, being terrified of men, because, I'm really open to share this now, because I can see, when we share our scary secrets, other people feel that maybe they can do so too. So for me, what I was carrying was a huge fear and being terrified of men, because I was watching my father physically abuse, emotionally abuse my mother. I saw him really aggressively, badly hitting her until she lost her consciousness and was bleeding out of her head. So when I was 25, I was at such a deep, deep point that I just didn't have anything to live for. I was just existing. And at my work, because I was working on the radio, there was really beautiful Indian woman. I was working on a multicultural radio station, and she came up one day and she just, "Hey, Milijana, how are you?" And I just started crying because she asked me how I am.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Okay, I would love you to find this book, which is Heal Your Life by Louise Hay, and please have a read. And then I found this book and I started reading it, and within the first few pages, things started to just, make sense. And I was just like, wow, I can be responsible for my thoughts and my emotions. I was only brought up in the sense of, poor me, I'm a victim.
Yes.
Why do these things happen to me? And why were my parents horrible? And why did these kids make fun of me? And why did I have to go through a war, etc., etc.?
Right.
And I was just, reading the book and following the exercises and starting to tell myself, I take full responsibility of my emotions, of my mental state. And I was reading and exercising with the affirmation. And then I found out about NLP. I went to a weekend seminar where I was just at the point in my life where I just really needed some positive brainwashing. I'm just like, just hit me. I need some massive change. And I think that's what happens, with a lot of people when we reach the bottom, we're willing to change something. And I really hope that anyone listening doesn't have to go to the bottom of, thinking, killing themselves or doing anything bad to themselves to change something. It doesn't have to be. We can just decide, okay, I'm not feeling very happy in a certain area of my life, and realizing that there are ways to change and create a happier, healthier life, mentally, physically, emotionally.
And so you found the NLP process and what it does to basically reprogram our thought habits effectively began switching different things on and turning things off for you. Tell us a little bit about what started happening for you.
So, as I said, I was bulimic for many, many years, 12 to 25 approximately. And then I was going to NLP seminars, and I was interviewing my mentor about HNLP, and just listening to these ideas and going through certain processes, I caught myself not doing the acts that annoyed me. I was trying with willpower, and I was feeling ashamed and guilty and everything. And I just noticed that I just forgot to do those behaviors.
All of a sudden, you forgot how to self-hate.
I know. So for me, it was just, I caught myself and I was like, holy moly, this stuff is powerful, because it happens on a deep unconscious level. When we remove our deepest fears and doubt and self-hate, you know what, Mo? 99% of people walking the earth have a I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy belief.
Yes.
Because we are brought up in a environment of conditional love. Meaning that when we are born as little babies and children, all we want is just to be loved the way we are. However, we can't blame anyone. Our parents are just reproducing the behavior of their parents and their grandparents. The love that we experienced was, I will love you if you're a good girl or good boy. Yes. I will love you if you have good grades. So we start to believe as children that we are not good enough to be loved just the way we are unconditionally. So we carry with us, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy of true love. So we self-sabotage, we carry low self-esteem within us. And this work, NLP and HNLP, for me is so special and so sacred, because it brings back the place of feeling good enough, and then that reflects in having happy, empowering behaviors, reaching goals, because we don't have self-sabotaging programs and behaviors in the background, reaching career goals, relationship goals, not being triggered when we are in relationships,
right?
Not feeling jealous or angry, or in careers being triggered, or finding ways that we don't sabotage our health.
Right.
So
go ahead. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah. So that's what I found, is that it works with the part of us that desires to live in a balance, our unconscious mind, which is basically the part of us that's breathing for us, the heart is beating for us, the nails are growing. If we cut ourselves, the wounds are healing. So we work with that part that actually desires balance, emotional, physical, spiritual balance. And it works with, basic things. For example, you want to stop biting your nails or smoking, to some really, really emotional stuff, like working with women that were raped as children, or people that went through war and still carry war trauma, some really deep, powerful stuff that we carry with us for decades.
Yes.
So we can not only let that go, so I'm talking about emotional stuff, but then that will reflect in career performance, in health, because the deepest emotional wounds are finally neutralized and healed and let go of.
So what I see happening oftentimes, Milijana, is that we all have a soul that is yearning to express itself and to be as full and as big as possible. That's our life purpose, is to expand our soul and to just basically be in the alignment with love and pure joy as much as possible. And when we have that desire, and the course I teach, the Kick-Ass Career course, it's really about taking that desire, matching it up with who you are at a soul level, and aligning one's work with who you are. So I match the soul with the work, and then people can really express who they are through their work and feel a great sense of joy. And what I find is that we have this soul that keeps speaking to us, and we have this trap that has been created with the programming, as you're talking about, that we receive through our entire upbringing, even as a teenager, young adult, even as a full grown adult. We are receiving messages that either enhance our program or that conflict against it. And so many people I come across, their soul has this yearning and desire, but their programming and their world view and their self-view are all in knots based on how they were programmed. And I do a little bit of NLP in the course, as you know. I'm not a master practitioner like you are, which is why I really want to talk to you at a deep level. Tell me how this NLP process works to free up the programming that we have in our subconscious, because our subconscious, like you mentioned, it's growing our nails and beating our heart and breathing for us and digesting our food. It's also the default mechanism that we're filtering everything in our lives with. So how does NLP help get at that subconscious programming and create the wiring that is actually empowering versus harmful or hurtful for us?
Okay, so it uses, of course, linguistic. The way we speak to ourselves is very important, because most of the time we're by ourselves. So number one, we become curious how we can change something that doesn't serve us. And very often it's run by deep emotions that we have developed and learned in our early childhood. So it's a way of unlearning anything that doesn't serve us and learning what does serve us, because now as adults, we actually know ways how to get to our goals. But in the background, as you say, Mo, there's programs running that we learned as children, and we naturally go to it because we are so used to it. Our neural pathways are used to going the easiest way. Because generally, as humans, we are lazy, and it takes a lot of effort to learn a new habit. So what NLP does, it works with the subconscious mind, so that the learning of a new habit is not conscious effort. It works with the subconscious, where you work in a relaxed state, and you can influence the subconscious mind to perform the way you want to perform. So you can, by beautiful processes of disassociation, so you can step out of certain traumatic events and create healing. And as soon as you are looking at certain things from a different perspective and creating empowering resources around that, you look at the history differently and it feels differently. So your conscious reactions are different, more empowering. So we work with the subconscious mind. We teach why NLP and HNLP was developed is because in the 60s, 1960s, there have been 3 of the most successful therapists that had incredible results. There were Fritz Perls, Milton Erickson, and Virginia Satir. And the developers of NLP, Richard Bandler and John Grinder, they looked at everything that works. They looked for a way to understand how the brain, how memorizing and how forgetting works. And they call it, the manual of the brain. So what they did, in an experiment, they reproduced successful ways how to remove trauma within 30 minutes, how to remove fears and habits that are lifelong within 1 session. So what they did, what NLP often does is modeling success. So if something works for someone, you research him or her, and you reproduce the way of thinking, the way of behaving, the attitude, the self-talk, and basically you should get the same results. That's when we call it a successful experiment. If you do certain things a certain way, you should get the same results, and then it's a successful experiment. So they did it in a psychological way. So if someone does a certain way as a therapist with a client and gets results such as removing any blockages in career or emotional, when they reproduce it, and they were modeling those successful therapists, every time they will get the same results. So you want to become more courageous when you do public speaking. This is what you've got to do. You have to remember past successes and then feed it into your central nervous system, move your body, emphasize it, and then you create, for example, a movement and a sound. So there's a certain processes where you can program your central nervous system that, for example, for me, when I clap my hands, I feel awesome because I've programmed myself anytime I clap my hands and do a little woohoo, all my past successes are fired into my conscious and I perform. So I do that in my sporting competitions and I use everything on myself. And what means that in every sporting competition, I lift personal records, national records, because I know this stuff works. So when we teach our brain to focus on what we want, because basically our brain can intensely focus only on one thing at a time. Normally it just jumps from thought to thought, positive, negative. What I love about the work that you do and what NLP does is you bring clarity to people. You bring them awareness about their thoughts. And negative emotions are just feedback. They're not good, they're not bad. Just feedback that you're probably not thinking in the most empowering way. You're probably not talking to yourself in the nicest way. That's why you're feeling bad. And then you realize, okay, I'm feeling bad. What am I actually thinking about? Maybe I'm thinking about my past and stuff that I'm maybe regretting, or maybe I'm worrying about the future. So what they found is when we feel depressed, very often we are thinking about the past and things that didn't go well. When we feel anxious, we are worrying about the future. So if we can define those emotions, okay, I feel worried, I feel anxious, okay, and then consciously change what do you want to think about. Think about your past successes. If you think about and write down all your past successes and relive them in your memory, make them really and bright and feel the emotions you felt, there is no way you can feel depressed. It's impossible. And, if you stand up tall and move your body and lift your hands up in the air, put a fake smile on your face, which after 10 seconds of a fake smile, your brain will still release endorphins. Your body doesn't know. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a real fake smile. So put a fake smile on your face and you'll feel good.
Absolutely. And, a lot of what I learned with regards to NLP started with the basic Tony Robbins personal power program I took in the 1980s. And he's a really big NLP guy. I mean, a lot of what he teaches, I've been to his live seminars. A lot of what he teaches and what he helps with is a lot of this reprogramming. And in my early 20s, I'm hearing this guy talk about all you have to do is change your body position and you're going to feel differently. And I'll be darned, it worked. And,
Yes.
and so I've dug in further over the past, 20 to 30 years about this neuro-linguistic programming. And for sure, we have memories of successes or failures buried in our physiology. And to the opposite degree, if you want to feel really lousy, get yourself into a slump and remember something horrible. And what I think for some reason humans are kind of wired in a default mechanism to be protective of themselves. It's our fight and flight and survival mechanism. So we, in default mode, I think we're thinking more of the negative stuff because we're primitively wired to save our lives, to save our species, to be aware of predators and things that could hurt us. So we're not really wired to think about all the great things that have happened and all of our successes, but it's like we have to trick ourselves. We have to create habits that create that new default. And
yes,
it's so much better to live in a way where the default is, as you know, my favorite saying, everything always works out for me. I'd rather live every day feeling that way, feeling optimistic and happy. And like you, as when I'm exercising and maybe feeling a little bit tired, or I'm a runner, so when I'm a little bit tired with my running, I'll clap my hands and I'll pretend that there's like people cheering me on, like in races that I've done, and it'll just totally pick me up. It'll just totally pick me up. And so I love, as you know, I love the neuro-linguistic programming science. I love the fact that it was based on studying success and replicating it. And I think it's also the reason why role models are so powerful for us. If we have a role model that we see, no matter how they talk, how their body position is, what their facial expressions are, all of these are ways that we can model the behavior of that person and start to take on some of the characteristics of their success, even if we don't even know them.
Yes, absolutely. That is such an important part. And so for me, you're a career role model, and I love your Kick-Ass career course. Mm-hmm. It literally kicked me in the ass because besides my sporting successes, I still felt like, you know what, I do need more career courage, mm-hmm. So that was for me something that I wanted. And I really love your work. I read your article about bringing your soul to work.
Yes.
And I was like, well, I love speaking with you during the clarity call. So for me, your way of teaching and coaching and guiding, for me, it was perfect. And since I was in the course, I feel I'm really kicking ass, and I'm doing the things that I said I would do for many, many years, but
yes.
I didn't have the courage. Uh-huh. Exactly what you said. So not only is it good to have a role model and model how they behave, how they speak, what they think, read their biographies, listen to their interviews, but the most important thing for me is, even though I am a personal trainer, when I compete and prepare, I want to have my trainer who is more confident than me, who had his own results. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I think having you as my career coach during the Kick-Ass course, and also choosing any other area, finding a mentor or a help,
yes.
that propels you so much forward to getting your goals, because it's so much easier with someone by your side. And even if it's just one person, it can be a friend, it can be a family member,
yes.
but it can be a coach that you hire. And then having someone that is there for you creates a safe environment where you can share your goals without being ridiculed, which sometimes our family does. It's like, why do you want to do this? Stay in a safe job.
Yes.
Sometimes we have to get out of our family and find people that history, and you say, you know what, I want to do this and this, and then the person says, why not? I think you can do this.
Right.
And so for me, I think not only finding an NLP coach or career coach like you, Mo, that will help reach your goals so much faster, because it's easier with someone by your side where you can share your goals and they hold you accountable. That's a very important thing. Accountability. When you work with someone and you have deadlines, it's not easy to slack off.
Yes, and I love we both have you as a professional athlete, but we both have kind of sports backgrounds, and I think that's a great metaphor. If we want to perform at a higher level than we can do on our own, we have to have someone that has done something more than us to guide us. It's how we learn, and I really appreciate the successes that you've had in the course and knowing you. I want to read a little testimonial that's on your Facebook page, and I also want to let people know that in order to get in touch with Milijana, you can reach her on her Facebook page and send her a message, and she'll be happy to send you an application and work with you. Here's one that's on your Facebook page, Milijana, and it so speaks to who I know and how I know you in your expertise. Milijana has the charisma, intuitive knowledge, and compassion to guide a person through what can be described as a subconscious release of emotions. I had the privilege and honor of Milijana to work her NLP and HNLP skills on me one faithful day as I succumbed almost halfway down a rabbit hole of deep emotions. Milijana's soothing voice and gentle verbal directions allowed me to tap into my inner world and divulge my subconscious fears as well as my joy. She instantly acknowledged this duality that I needed to acknowledge within myself in order for the two strongest of emotions, fear and love, to work for me instead of against me. Through her session, Milijana helped me gain a sense of peace within myself, which allowed me to heal a very troubled part of me. I am so grateful for her knowledge, compassion, and intuitive intelligence on that faithful day. Her session allowed me to regain calmness, peace, confidence, and a newfound faith and inner strength. Thank you, Milijana, from the bottom of my heart. You were an angel sent on that very day when you shared your extraordinary skills with me. And I know that testimonial came from someone whose life you changed forever. And as you know, Milijana, I witnessed you in transforming two other lives, live and in person, on another very faithful, perfectly synced up day. It was just awesome, which is what prompted me to want to dig deeper into your skills and into your knowledge and into your mastery so that we could share this. I love that your journey, Milijana, has allowed you to have a story and a message of healing from trauma. I mean, not many people around the world, although there's more than we want to think about, we're in war-torn countries as a small child, and that's when we are most deeply programmed, when we're smaller. And that journey allowed you to be in service to others, and to have this gift really matter, because it mattered for you and your healing. And it just touches me every time I talk with you and think about your journey and know your gifts. So I totally appreciate you sharing your knowledge. I want people to reach out to you if they want to work with you, because you certainly have a lot to share with folks. So again, just tell people specifically how they can get in touch with you and work with you if they have some inclination to do that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mo. I'm on Facebook, Milijana de Mori, Milijana. And if they would love to let go of fears and traumas, and if they're athletes and want to reach their highest performance, or want to get rid of fears when they're writing exams or public speaking, it would be my honor to help. And it is very, very possible. I used to be such a shy girl and not comfortable speaking in the English language or in front of people, but my message is that everything can be changed, and it changes with many things, such as you mentioned, Mo, changing our body language to feel better, changing our language to ourselves, so creating language upgrades, which for me is also very powerful. Instead of being in a victim language, saying I can't, I should, it's not my fault, I hope, or it's only, choose an empowering language upgrade, such as I am totally responsible. It's an opportunity. I want to learn and grow. I know, or next time, or the powerful language upgrades are also I can, I am, I will, I create, I choose, I make up, I like, and I love. So for me, that was a big change. And when you create a change, you can maintain it by talking to yourself in a more empowering way, talking in conversation with other people in a more empowering way. And it just feels different. You can start with the language, you can start with the body language, you can start by remembering your past successes and remembering them vividly. How do you feel? What do you see? Remember some future goals and imagine you have already achieved them. And really, really feel how it would feel when you have already achieved them. Like, how does it feel to live in that moment? What do you feel? What do you see? What do you hear? And then intensify it. And do that especially when early in the morning, just when you wake up, 2, 3, or 5 minutes, and just before you go to bed. That's the best time to influence your subconscious mind. And just live your most amazing life with clarity and joy. That's my wish to everybody.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me for this interview, Milijana. This is Coach Mo Faul, and you can find me at mofaul.com. That's MOFAUL.com. And if you want to get your career kicked up into high gear, feel free to contact me on my website. And Milijana, again, thank you so much for joining me on this wonderful interview, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you better and knowing your work and all the wonderful ways you're helping people.
Thank you so much, Mo. Big pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right.